Hey guys, listen up. There's a soft thud upstairs. Not loud enough to alarm you, but distinct, a bedroom door closing, maybe with just a touch too much force. You pause for a second, spoon in hand, halfway to your mouth. No yelling, no crying, just that sound. You brush it off thinking maybe it was the wind, or maybe they were just in a hurry. But later you'll remember that sound. The very first one that didn't feel quite right. You're about to listen to the rebellious age where the lines between childhood and independence blur quietly, awkwardly, and sometimes with slammed doors. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is over there. I always read them. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You walk past the hallway, noticing how their shoes are half kicked off instead of neatly aligned like before. A hoodie is draped across the stair rail, not where it belongs. In the living room, the TV's paused on a show you've never seen them watch before. But what really stands out isn't the mess, it's the stillness. They're not there. No humming, no random stories about school, no questions about dinner. You make your way to their room. The door is closed. Not unusual, but it used to be cracked open. A small signal that said, "I'm in here, but I'm not hiding." You tap lightly. No answer. "Hey, everything okay?" A muffled. "Yeah, and that's it." No. "Come in, no sarcastic joke." No "guess what happened today," just, "Yeah." You stand there for a moment. You could push the door open. You used to. But something in that one syllable tells you not now. This is how it starts. Not with a fight, not with a scream, but with distance. Almost polite but firm. Later that evening, you replay the moment again. The short answer, the distance, the door. And you find yourself wondering, was I like that too? Once you probably were. Not exactly, but close. It's funny how you don't notice the shift until it's already happened, like realizing you're getting wet 5 minutes into the rain. Let's rewind a bit. Just a few weeks ago, they were laughing about a cat video with you sending you memes with misspelled captions and filters you didn't understand. They asked for your help with a history project, and somehow you ended up doing 70% of it together using construction paper and glue. It felt like parenting wins. Then almost overnight, something crept in. A cold draft in the hallway, a slightly different tone in their voice. You asked if they wanted to come grocery shopping. They used to jump at the chance riding the cart, picking cereal, begging for gummy worms. This time, nah. Not even a reason. Just nah. Psychologists still debate whether puberty triggers behavior change or if behavior change signals the onset of puberty. It's a bit of a chicken and egg standoff. But you don't care which came first. You just want your kid back. You remember their favorite cereal, those neon-colored puffs that taste like sugar and regret. You grab a box anyway. Maybe it'll make them smile. But when you get home and put it on the table, you hear, "I don't eat that anymore." You laugh, thinking they're joking. They're not. And you think, wait, when did that happen? It's not just the cereal. It's the music too. Suddenly they're into bands with names that sound like expired yogurt, the melting koalas, cloud static. You try to keep up. You even add a few of their songs to your playlist. But when they hear it playing in the car, they go, "Ooh, why are you listening to that? That's mine." You're not sure if you should be flattered or offended. Even your jokes don't land anymore. The old knock-knocks that used to make them double over now get a half smirk at best. Or worse, a look that says, "Please never say that again in public." And yes, it stings. You used to be the center of their universe. Now you're more like Pluto, technically part of it, but mostly forgotten. And some scientists aren't even sure if you still count. Let's talk about that one dinner. You made spaghetti. Their favorite. Extra cheese? You even graded it yourself like a cooking show host. You sit down, and after 3 bites they say, "Can I be excused?" No reason. No explanation. Just gone. 10 minutes later, you pass by their room and hear them laughing. Not just a chuckle, a belly laugh. You peek in expecting them to be on a call with friends. Nope. They're watching a video alone. Just laughing. You stand there trying not to feel insulted that spaghetti in conversation with you doesn't spark that kind of joy anymore. Here's the thing. It's not personal. Not really. But it feels that way. You remember what a counselor once said to you during a school talk. Adolescents don't rebel against their parents. They rebel into themselves. That hit hard. It's not about you. It's about them trying to figure out who they are when they're not being your shadow. Still, that doesn't make it easier. You try to connect. You ask, "How was your day?" and get a shrug. You suggest a movie and hear maybe later. You buy their favorite ice cream and they mutter thanks without even looking up from their phone. But then randomly on a rainy afternoon, they sit beside you on the couch. They don't say anything. Just scroll their phone quietly next to you. You try not to breathe too loud. You don't want to scare the moment away. After a few minutes, they say, "That math test was brutal." It's one sentence, but it's everything. It's proof they're still in there. Beneath the mood swings and mystery playlists and sarcastic eye rolls, they're still yours. Just a different version. And here's the uncomfortable truth they're supposed to change. Imagine if they didn't. If they stayed 5 years old forever. Cute, yes, but unnatural. Growth is loud. Growth is awkward. Growth slams doors. The signs don't always come with flashing lights. Sometimes it's a closed door, a forgotten joke, a cereal box left untouched, and the challenge to recognize those moments not as rejections, but as transitions. You're shifting from being their sun to being their lighthouse. Still bright, still there, but from a distance. You don't stop loving. You just start loving wider. So the next time the door slams, you pause. You take a deep breath, and you whisper to yourself, "This is part of it." And you smile. Well, half smile. Maybe after a deep sigh and a chocolate bar. The next morning, the cereal box is still unopened. You quietly nudge it further back on the shelf behind the plain oatmeal and forgotten cans of soup. No need to throw it out. Not yet. But for now, it doesn't belong front and center. You shuffle around the kitchen, coffee in hand, noticing how quiet it is. They're awake. You saw the bathroom light flicker earlier. But gone are the days of good morning hugs and loud footsteps thumping down the stairs. Now mornings are whispers. Footsteps that try not to be heard. You half expect them to start floating just to avoid even that. Then the door opens. They walk past you, eyes glued to their phone. You offer a soft morning. They grunt in reply. It's a sound, technically, so you count it as a win. You ask if they want breakfast. They shrug. You ask again. Another shrug. Okay, you mutter and start making eggs anyway, just in case. They sit at the table, still on their phone, still not talking. The silence wraps around both of you, thick like fog. You used to fill this silence so easily with jokes, with stories, with that horrible pirate accent you once used to read bedtime stories. They used to beg you to stop, and then secretly giggle when you kept going. But now, even the jokes feel like intruders. What's brown and sticky? You ask anyway. They glance up suspicious. You catch the flicker of a smirk before they say, "What, a stick?" They roll their eyes, but you swear for half a second you saw their lip twitch. That's joke number 1, by the way. You hand over the eggs. They eat in silence. You sip your coffee. And for a moment, you're just two people, sitting, existing. And somehow that feels like a small miracle. You remember a friend once said, teenagers are like cats. They want love but on their terms. And don't you dare try to pet them when they're not in the mood. It sounded ridiculous back then. Now it feels prophetic. And it's not just at home. At school, their grades are fine. Not amazing. Not terrible. Just fine. But the teacher leaves a note. Seems distracted lately. You ask them about it. They roll their eyes and say, "It's nothing." You ask again. "Just tired." You push a little. "Tired from what life?" You stare at them. They're 13. But then again, are they wrong? Puberty is more than just hormones. It's identity confusion and emotions shoved into a blender with no lid. It's waking up one day and realizing your body, your voice, your thoughts all feel slightly off. And everyone's watching. Or at least it feels that way. You try to remember what that felt like. You think back to when your own voice cracked mid-sentence in front of your crush. You still haven't fully recovered from that memory. But their experience? It's all happening faster, louder, and under the glow of a screen. That's the next thing you notice. The phone. It's always with them. Tethered. Like an extra limb. You try to talk and their eyes dart to notifications. You ask a question and their thumbs keep typing. You wonder who could possibly be that interesting at 7:45 a.m. You say, "Hey, can we have a phone-free breakfast?" They sigh. It's a dramatic sigh, the kind that says you're ruining everything. But they put it down. Progress. 2 minutes later, their eyes wander to it, like it's calling them, begging, whispering. Just one more scroll. You get it. Screens are addictive. You lose hours to yours too. But when they do it, it feels different, scarier. Because it's not just about entertainment anymore. It's their world, their friendships, their status, their identity, all in that little glowing rectangle. You ask who they're texting. They pause. Just friends. You press. Anyone I know? A pause. And then a shrug. Not really. And there it is. The slow fade. They're building a new world, a separate one. One you're not automatically part of. One you don't have the password to. And that's terrifying. But also necessary. Psychologists still debate whether adolescence is about detachment or differentiation. Are teens trying to break away from parents or simply trying to discover themselves in relation to them? Maybe it's both. Maybe they're drawing the map as they walk it. You just wish you were still invited on the journey. There's a knock on the door later that night. You're surprised it's them. "Can you help with this project?" they ask, holding up a poster board. You blink. Of course. It's a group assignment. They're making a presentation about climate change. They want help cutting out magazine images and arranging the layout. You dive in eagerly. It feels like old times. You suggest a title. They roll their eyes. That sounds like a dad title. You both laugh. There it is. The laughter. Short, soft, real. Then they say, "Actually, that's kind of good." In a lame way. You beam. You try to hide it. You fail. It's a 45-minute project, but you stay at it for over an hour. Talking. Laughing. Lightly teasing each other. And when it's done, they say, "Thanks. This was kind of fun." Kind of fun. That's teenager gold right there. And just when you think the moment is over, they linger. "Hey, do you think I'm weird?" The question hits you like a dart to the chest. What do you mean, like? The stuff I like. My music. The way I dress. Some people at school say I'm weird. You pause. Not too long. Just long enough to breathe. I think you're figuring yourself out. And anyone who makes fun of that is probably too scared to do it themselves. They nod. Not a big nod. A small one. but it's enough. And then quietly, thanks. And then the spell breaks. They head off. The door closes, but not all the way. A crack of light. You sit back heart full, realizing something important. The door never stays closed forever. Not if you wait. Not if you keep showing up. Being a parent of a preteen isn't about constant control. It's about consistent presence. You're not steering the ship anymore, but you're still on board. You'll get more eye rolls, more sighs, more you don't get it moments, but also unexpected poster projects, quiet questions, faint smiles in the rearview mirror. They're pulling away to discover who they are, but part of who they are will always be tied to you, even if they'd never admit it at a sleepover. Oh, and joke number 2. What do you call a fish with no eyes, Fsh? Yeah, you'll probably get another eye roll for that one too. But maybe, just maybe this time, they'll chuckle behind their phone when they think you're not looking.